If you're finding the aiming in Red Dead Redemption 2 to be somewhat cumbersome or sluggish, you're not alone. I myself struggled with wrangling the controls for hours until I finally found the options that make it feel much more manageable, especially in free aim mode. I will also be going over a few tips that will help you move more fluidly in the game, and both of these combined will help the gameplay feel less like you're puppeteering an actor through molasses. The following settings in the options menu will most benefit players using free aim, but everyone else using the default auto snap aiming still might find some value in these. Starting at the bottom and the most important first, the aiming dead zone. Lowering this all the way will make aiming automatically feel more precise, with giving you more precision out of your right analog stick. This will make quick swipe aiming and fine-tuned precision possible, but will need to be practiced, which I'll touch on shortly. The next option is look acceleration. Usually it would be ideal to turn this all the way off, but sadly even on the lowest setting it's still on. The setting I found works best is 2 notches down from the right. This will make it so the camera accelerates to its max speed very quickly, but not too quickly to where you're flying past your enemies. The next is aiming itself, and I feel like 5 notches from the right gives you that exact lowest setting to where you can easily manage far away enemies and still feel like you can aim quick enough to manage shooting things very close to you, like attacking animals or ambushing enemies. The last option here is general look speed, and setting this 6 down from the right will give you a pretty snappy camera that helps to alleviate some of that already sluggish player movement and helps you assess your surroundings more effectively. The last 2 settings are the aim assists, and the setup I just explained is going to greatly benefit from your muscle memory, so we never want the crosshair to be dynamically altering its own speed and throwing that off. Go ahead and turn these off completely. That muscle memory I just mentioned is very important with this setup. The best way to get used to this style of aiming is by sheer familiarity. I found it very useful to start a main or side quest that has a nice enemy encounter in it, and just repeatedly grind it out by restarting the last checkpoint over and over by either dying or failing the mission. I pretty much turned this one scenario into my own personal shooting gallery, and I got about 4 gameplay hours worth of combat experience condensed down into about 20 minutes. After this, I saw much improvements to my aiming overall, which allowed me to better enjoy future encounters instead of constantly messing with settings and feeling sloppy during pivotal moments. Since we now have the aiming itself feeling more responsive and less sluggish, there are now a few ways to better utilize your movement during combat. If you're going into fights and aiming like this, you're going to be getting hit a lot more because you're moving at a snail's pace when your gun is raised. Instead, as soon as you hit the aiming trigger, also tap your sprint button. You will now instantly start aiming and moving at nearly double the speed. Using this along with your dodge ability mapped to either square or X while you're aiming will allow you to be much more effective at pushing enemies and play more aggressively if you start to grow tired of the stop and pop cover-based shooting. My very last recommendation comes for people who play in first-person mode. Hitting down on the D-pad while aiming will toggle your ability to aim down the sights of your weapon, and I found it far easier to aim like this compared to the default reticule. And that's it for my recommendations for improving the aiming and overall feel in Red Dead Redemption 2 to help it feel less sluggish and somewhat cumbersome. I myself found the game far more enjoyable once I was actually able to shoot like a Wild West gunslinger and not have it feel like I'm constantly battling my own firearms in the options menu all the time. If you enjoy this style of informative content that focuses on game mechanics and systems, consider subscribing and checking out my Patreon that helps fund this channel. This has been Deadite from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for watching.